In today's video, we are going to break down how the wrists move in the takeaway and the backswing, some of the common faults, especially for those who tend to slice the golf ball, and then we'll talk about some of those fixes, what your wrist should be doing so you can hit that ball a little bit better, maybe hit that draw that you've always wanted to hit. So if you're brand new to our channel, we appreciate when you subscribe. If you like our content today, give us a thumbs up. If you hit that little bell button, you'll see all our future videos that we have coming out. Put them out usually every Tuesday and Friday, and thanks for viewing. So learning how your wrists move are super important when it comes to your golf swing. It helps control the face, it leads to more power, all right, and if you use them correctly, it can help you become more consistent, maybe get your swing a little bit longer, or maybe just tighten up your swing just a little bit more. The problem is a lot of time we tend to use the wrists incorrectly, or we use them too much, or we use them too little. So today we're going to break down what exactly your wrists should be doing, where they should be at certain positions in your golf swing, and overall what can we do when we have a fault, and what can we do to fix it when we have that fault. So the first part we're going to talk about is that takeaway. A common error that I see when it comes to the takeaway is that people really want to get that wide shape in their golf swing. So their first move is they set up to it, good setup, whatever, and I really see them take it wide away from them. The only problem is most of the time that's going to really cause you to have a reverse spine angle, because when you take it away that wide, our body, some might be flexible to do that enough, but most of us don't. What you're going to see a lot of professional players is when they get that club parallel to the ground, you're going to see their hands stay pretty low, all right, and they set it right there. Okay, so you can kind of see it's not a huge set from that angle, but it is set, and that's how they get in front of their hands. If you keep it wide, get it in front of your hand, you're going to be up here, which nobody on tour does. So if we want to look and play better, we try to model after the best, right? So the first thing I want you to do is, when it comes to your takeaway, let those wrists set a little bit. It's okay. It's going to eventually also help your swing get a little bit longer, which we are okay with. We don't need that wide, narrow, wide to be that extreme. Also, when it comes to the takeaway, is how are our wrists going to set? Are they going to set up and down? Are they going to set sideways? It's going to be a little bit different for every golfer out there. So what I typically like to see is, when people take the club away, I want to see the wrist hinge basically more in this fashion. That helps keep the face square, maybe a little bit closed, which is really good for a lot of us out there because we tend to slice the ball. So we tend to have that open face when it comes to that position. I call it position 2. So when you set those wrists, think about it that way. Or if you're shaking somebody's hand, don't shake it like that. Feel like you're kind of shaking it on top when it gets to that position. Okay? And it's okay if it's a little inside, it's not a big deal. Probably won't ever be outside, that's pretty rare. So just think about letting the wrist set a little bit. Alright, shaking that hand on top when it gets to that position. If you take the club really inside, you're going to see the face closes. Okay, even if you set the wrist right, or if you set your wrist this way and you take it inside, that's when it really opens up. So I would try not to have too many people set their wrist this way. It's going to be more of a set on top, right hand on top when you take it back. So now we know how we should take it away. How much should our wrists set in our golf swing? So one thing that I want you to look for, and this will help you keep a square face. So if we set our wrist correctly, keep that right hand on top, you're going to notice that my left wrist is flat. Okay, and when you start to set it up, that guy needs to remain flat at that point. So you're going to see the club will actually set a little more vertical, which is okay. All right, but it keeps the club face square. If your wrist bends like this, which many golfers out there do, all right, that takes the face and that opens that thing wide up. So even if you have a perfect swing plane, but your face looks like that, you're going to slice it all day long. You're going to block everything out to the right. You're going to have to do some funny stuff with your hands to hit it straight. So when you get there and you start to set that club, All right, keep that thing flat. Now when you get here, you're gonna notice this is a 90-degree angle. This is pretty important. We don't want it greater and we don't want it less. And I'll explain that here in a second. Actually, a little less isn't a big deal, but don't make it any more than that. So why don't I want you to bend your wrists more than 90 degrees at that point in time? The reason is if you get it to the top, our wrists can only bend so much and then they're gonna have to make an adjustment. All right, physically your wrist, if it goes too much past 90 degrees, unless you have some really flexible kind of different wrist stuff going on, it's gonna open up the club face on you. So if you get it to the top, or take away, we have that wrist flat and we get it there, all right, but then we really start to bend our wrists, all right, to create more wrist set. This goes back into that bow action, or actually, I guess you say cup action. All right, bow would be that way, right? But that's what it has to do. It can only go so much, and then if you really bend it a lot, that's how it creates more space, more room, a longer golf swing. And then all that work that you've done on maybe having a perfect takeaway, really good set it, we call it position 3, and then it blows it up on position 4 just because you are trying to get the club too far back. And so now your wrist bends the wrong way, face is open, and then you'll probably make some sort of compensation on the way down. Usually we can go to that steep side, because if we come down shallow with an open face, you're going to block that thing out to the right if you're a right-handed golfer all day long. So pretty simple. I don't really want the wrist to move that way because that tends to lead to an open face. So like that right hand stays on top, left wrist is flat. When we get it right there, it's still flat. All right, we got 90 degrees. We don't have more. It's okay if it's a little less, but really 90 degrees would be perfect, because then all you have to do from there, if you keep that, it's just a little bit more of a turn to get to the top of the swing or position 4. It is okay if it's short on top. If this wrist is flat, but you can only get the club to there, you're gonna be in a lot better shape than getting it here and really setting all that wrist and seeing everything break down on top. And then you're gonna struggle just a little bit more, and we don't really want that to happen. The key to good golf is being consistent, striking it in the middle, and knowing what your fault is so you can fix it right away. If you don't know what the fault is, or you don't know why the face is open but you've done everything right, then we know how hard golf can be. So if you're brand new to our channel, again, we appreciate when you subscribe. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. If you have any questions or if you have any video ideas, go ahead and put them down in the comments down below.